and I saw the ground shifting. I saw the landscape of the economy shifting. I knew that the underpinnings were being chipped away, and I said, you know what? Things are shifting again. I'm going to stay on the sidelines here until we crater, and then I'm going to get back in, and I'm going to start buying businesses. And the reason why I wanted to start buying businesses is because of the niche and the opportunity. I think with small businesses, we have more flexibility than with anything else. And in this coming age of enormous change, continuous change, and almost insurmountable complexity, that flexibility is going to be king. It's going to be normal and better to be small and medium-sized than it is to be big, if you want my opinion. Simply because of the flexibility that is associated with small business. We can turn our businesses on a dime when we're small. When we're large, it's really difficult to turn your business and adjust to changing markets or changing economic pressures.
So you and your partner,
but
Patrick...
in 2007, I got back in as a...
sorry about that. There was a little delay. I was going to say, you and your partner, Patrick, started looking at these businesses, and you came up with something dramatically different when you noticed some symbiosis between you and...
Right, right.
So tell me what happened there.
So after I got back in the market in 2007 and started looking at deals, I ran into Patrick, who's my partner, Pat McDonald, and we looked at all kinds of businesses and put several deals together. But the one overarching problem was that the sellers were never really getting a good deal. In fact, they were getting a raw deal. And when I looked back at all of the different deals that we did, the one thing that we had in common was that there was a business broker on the deal. And what the common thread was that the business broker wasn't really looking out for the best interest of the seller. And the seller, in every instance, without exception, was getting a raw deal, was going to have to pay very high taxes, pay off their payables, their liabilities, settlement expenses, and brokerage commissions. By the time it was all said and done, a seller was walking away from the closing table, scratching their head, wondering, what in the world did I just do? They just got hosed on the deal. But they had entrusted the sale of their business to someone who really didn't have their best interest at heart.
And we're going to go over that a little bit.
What Pat and I did was we said, hey, look, sure, yeah, we'll go over that later.
We're going to go over that later because...
What Pat and I did was we formed a solution that said, well, wait a minute, let's take a good long look at the problem here. Now, sellers are going to have a tax problem. They're going to have a huge income tax problem. They're worried about exiting their business, but they want to exit to someone with competent management skills. They also would like to leave their kids something nice in their estate. Their kids might not be interested in the business, but they do want to leave them something nice in the estate. And by the way, even if the kids are interested in the business, the kids might not have the skills and tools that it takes to take care of the business. And also, they want to set themselves up for a successful retirement. They're trying to sell their business and simultaneously fund a retirement fund that they're worried about outliving. And that's the number one retirement fear, is not having enough. So what I did was I put my pencil to my paper and said, let's craft a solution here that addresses all of these pain points, the major concerns, the critical concerns, and let's put together a strategy that is executable, that I can then plug into Pat, and we can scale on a really big level, and we can help as many small business owners in the United States as possible do this. And that's precisely what we came up with when we formulated the Delta solution.
Well, thanks, Heath. I want to give a background because I'd like to, if you could just pontificate with me a little bit on what are the factors that are plaguing people? What are the pain points now? I know this first one, I mean, you kind of briefly mentioned it, but people are stressed out. A lot of business owners stay in a lot longer than they should, and they've had enough. So are you finding that that's getting better or worse?
No, most business owners are miserable.
Well, that's pretty honest,
They're
yeah.
flat miserable. And the reason why they're miserable is because they have unmet expectations. That's really the problem. They went into business or bought a business thinking that it was going to, you buy a business is going to be the holy grail of freedom and happiness. They're going to have all kinds of free time, all kinds of happiness, and yeah, it's the most overrated experience on the planet. It's owning your own business.
Absolutely. But there are
The
those, there
reason
are,
for that is much deeper.
yeah, and that's the psychology. And later on, we're going to have some more
The
webinars on that. But the other reason we notice is that they want to try something different. There are successful business owners. There are people that are addicted to this experience. I know them personally, and they are always looking for the next greatest thing. So that could be a reason, correct?
Oh, right. So they're chasing the shiny penny, right?
No,
Yeah.
sometimes they just get bored easily.
The
I've got
problem there is that, yeah, that's the thing. They get bored easy, and so, but the concept, the idea of getting rich really needs to take place slowly, and it is not necessarily supposed to be exciting. I mean, you might be doing the most boring humdrum things day in and day out, but you're rich. Uh, Let me tell you something. Getting rich is boring. Going broke is pretty exciting, but getting rich tends to be
Wait a
pretty
minute.
boring.
I could use a
Doing
little
the same
boredom,
thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, I could use a little boredom. I mean, truly. And
And
here's another.
so yeah, it's not really designed to be exciting.
Oh, okay.
And people go chasing the new shiny penny. Yeah.
And it works. Sometimes in California, we see a lot of that out here, the chasing the next new thing. But we also have this problem. And I have a lot of friends who've had to quit their businesses because of health issues. They just, they thought they were going to stay in forever. They love it. And then all of a sudden, life has a way of throwing you these curveballs. Do you find that also?
Indeed. And oh yeah, that plagues several people.
And
And they don't really have a plan, a contingency plan in place to turn the business over to somebody who is competent when those things happen. They don't have a plan B or a plan C. I mean, the entrepreneur is the business, and that becomes a problem.
And let me just go, these next two are really close to a lot of people. The family and personal issues can also cause you to have to leave your business earlier than you planned. And the need for more cash. There could be a lot of mitigating circumstances for people. They need to get out of the business. They need to get out of the business quickly. But the problem is they're finding that they either don't have an exit strategy written down. They don't have a plan. I think we had the statistic that almost 78% of all business owners, no matter how successful they are, they lack that business exit strategy. And when it comes time, when they're up against the wall, that's when they start making decisions that they should have made actually when they started their business, how they're going to leave it, because everybody's going to leave. And this is what we're talking about today, is how to formulate an exit strategy that works. And I thought I put together this slide, and I just, would you like to comment on these different statistics, because they're not pretty?
Well, indeed. So let me boil all this down to you and put it on a bumper sticker. 87% of the businesses that are listed for sale in the United States will never sell, period. End of sentence, end of chapter, end of book. 87%. So that leaves 13% of the businesses that are listed for sale in the United States that sell. And when they sell, in business, there are certain contingencies in place, and that business owner almost inevitably is along for the ride in some way, shape, or form, usually in the form of a seller-financed note that they have carried back. So they've carried back some form of financing on the deal. So that does not mean that simply because they sold their business that they have a successful outcome. There's still the 7 or 8 or 10 year period where they're holding a note that they have to wait out in order to get all their money. The problem is that 3 out of every 4 businesses that is sold in the United States they have an unsuccessful transition and eventually fail. So 1 out of 4 of the ones that close are truly successful. And when you add everything up, that gives a seller of a business about a 3% chance at a truly successful outcome. And that's what all these numbers and statistics mean. You got a 3% shot.
And that's pretty lousy. It's really disheartening, and I think that's one of the things that Heath saw right away.
That's horrible.
It's
horrible.
Yeah,
that's miserable. And I do not like doing deals with a 3% chance of a successful outcome for the person I'm doing business with. That's nasty. That's horrible. And I don't want to do that. That's a failure in the system. It's a failure in the market.
So you began to deconstruct why these deals were going bad, and you saw right away some problems that why businesses don't sell. So let's go over a few of what you discovered when you looked at you like 300 deals that you reverse engineered, and you found some of the problems.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this is the first one.
So number one is you have to have a buyer who has the skill set and toolbox to take care of baby. And that many times is a double-edged sword, and I'll explain that. Basically what I mean by that is if you get a buyer who has the skills and tools to buy a business, many times they're going to be able to successfully structure a deal, and they're also going to have the skills and tools to run that business after they bought it. In other words, if you're going to get a buyer who has what it takes to buy it, you're going to also get a buyer who has the skills and tools to take care of it, usually. However, there are some exceptions. Like I say, 3 out of 4 that sell actually wind up failing, and you have someone who gets lucky and buys the business and doesn't take care of it. But there is a severe lack of qualified buyers in the market who don't have the skills and tools to take care of baby. That's number one. The next thing is that you have to understand that those buyers are looking at buying a business as an investment choice. All right, they have a ton of choices across the landscape of investment opportunities. Buying businesses is just one. Not only just buying businesses, but they can buy any kind of business. They're looking at this thing as a cash flow stream. They're not looking at it from the business owner's point of view, saying, "Oh, this is my baby. Oh, pick me, pick me. I'm the cute puppy." It didn't like that. Business buyers buy income streams, and they have lots and lots of choices. I mean, lots of choices. Those kinds of folks with skills and tools, they can go anywhere and make money. The next one is the big reason, the most common reason I saw for business failure was that you had a third party, usually a business broker, that was clogging up the process. They were hindering the buyer from being able to structure a winning deal. They were hindering a seller from being able to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that are involved in selling a business. And all because they wanted their own selfish interests served. The broker was thinking about the commission, and the deal was done when they saw the customer's taillights, just like they say in the car business. It's one and done, and that was it. You might also have some consultants, some attorneys, and so forth who are deal killers. Not all attorneys are created equal, but they can certainly hamper the process.
And we were gonna talk more about the brokers.
If you have too many people involved in this process, they all sort of want to control it in their own little way. And the principals, the people who really matter in the transaction, aren't getting their interests served. No one is allowing the buyer and the seller to have the intimacy and communication that they need to really craft a winning deal.
So, well, we could do a whole thing on brokers. We are going to eventually talk more about brokers because they are. I mean, Heath is. It's not that he's antagonistic towards business brokers. It's just that he has seen some of the actual, things that they've done. So we're going to give you, though, a resource right now where you can read more about why he thinks that you should bypass business brokers. And if you go to tinyurl.com/bizbroker report, you can get that report. You can get the article that he wrote on, on business brokers and some of the ideas that he has about why business brokers don't do a really good job. So selling a business, let's recap,
right,
is hampered by, number one, too few quality buyers, too many choices for those buyers, lots of third-party interference, consultants, business brokers. And I want to ask Heath now, what must happen for these people, especially some of my guys are involved in actually helping businesses make a succession plan. So what must happen in order for a business owner? What should they be doing, Heath, right now to make the sale happen?
If I could give you 2 bits of advice on what it takes to really have a successful sale. Number 1, sellers need to transform their businesses into investments. They need to start creating an investment with their business. And that means packaging their businesses to sell. And now you immediately beg the question, okay, if I'm going to sell this business, what kind of buyer is going to buy it? And how are they going to buy it? And that involves a tremendous amount of education. You have to educate your sellers. And if you're a seller or a business owner who wants to sell, you need to educate yourself with respect to the process, because it is not shooting from the hip. If you shoot from the hip, you're going to wind up just like any of the 300 business failures that I have personally seen on the other end of the table. Don't be one of those unfortunate statistics. Turn your business into an investment, because an astute buyer, and I would hope that you would want to attract an astute buyer, someone with the skills and tools to take care of baby. I would hope you would want a buyer like that. Those astute buyers buy investments. So if you can take your business and package it to sell so that someone who's qualified can see it as a good, viable investment opportunity where the risks are quantified, you'll go a long way to increasing your chances of a successful sale.
That's excellent advice.
The other one is well, you know what? If you do just that, I think you're way ahead of the game.
Excellent.
The other aspect is, if you are an advisor to people who have businesses, what you really need to do is ask the critical question. And the critical question is, Mr. Business Owner or Mrs. Business Owner, what is it going to take in order for you to feel success from exiting your business? Let me ask you this. Let's fast forward the tape 3 years. If in a 3-year period of time you and I met here again today and we were talking about exiting your business, what would have had to have happened in order for you to feel really good about the progress that you made and the exit outcome? What would have had to have happened? What are some of the things that you wanted to happen? And what are some of the things that you wanted to avoid that didn't happen? I think both of those things are equally important. So if you can start there, because every business owner is different, if you can start there from the business owner's concept of a successful outcome and start mapping a strategy in a reverse engineered fashion all the way to the front, I think you're going to have a much better shot at helping your client and advising your client.
That's perfect. I mean, that is really good language. I'm gonna make sure I record this, because the language on that is just superb. So when you're and if you're a business owner, you need to start thinking that way. What in your mind, what constitutes a successful business exit strategy? So with all this in mind, we know the pain, we know how difficult it is to sell. It's not an easy thing. I think most people get it in their heads that it's going to be like selling their used car or something, but it's not. With all the complexities,
right.
Heath, came up with what I think is a great system because it addresses some of the fears that business owners have. You see part of it up on your screen, and you're going to get this infographic, but what do owners really want? And the challenge, as Heath says, finding out what owners want and what they need. And here's one thing that you mentioned in an interview I heard with you, that they kind of want the highest rates with the lowest amount of risk. I mean, doesn't everybody want that? Mm-hmm. So how do you address that, Heath? I mean,
sure. Okay, here's how you address it. You have to examine the sources of the thought process regarding what is the highest rate and what is the lowest risk. Because we are institutionalized in our way of thinking, and we have tendencies toward certain vehicles for certain outcomes. With respect to retirement, we have a tendency to think Wall Street, or we have a tendency to think, okay, qualified plans or IRAs or 401ks and so forth. The problem is this: it takes cash to do those kinds of investments, and many times getting cash from the sale of your business is very, very expensive. You have a huge tax hit, you have a lot of payables you have to pay off, you have a lot of liabilities you have to pay off, you have settlement expenses, you have commissions, you have all these kinds of things, and so there really isn't any cash at the end of the day. So you can't really go into the markets trying to buy an investment that's going to set you up for retirement success. And then, oh, by the way, that new investment, it's subject to taxation, it's subject to inflation, and it's subject to market volatility. I mean, it's just you talk about shooting yourself not only in one foot when you sell your business, but in the other foot too when you buy an investment like that. I really do think that you're setting yourself up for an unfortunate outcome. So let me tell you this, a typical situation, if someone has a business and that business is throwing off about $300,000 a year in net cash profits, its value is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $900,000 to $1 million. We did this just for the sake of easy math. So what you got is you got about 20% or so in taxes, and you have at least 10% in commissions. Oh, and by the way, that 20% is a very conservative tax number. I was meeting with my accountant last week, and he had a problem. One of his clients came to him, said they wanted to sell their business. They were in a C corporation, which has two different levels of taxation. The effective tax rate was over 50%. And it was a kid. You know, the mom and dad had given the business to the kid, and the kid just pulled the trigger and sold. Didn't really do any tax planning, and so a huge portion of the inheritance that the son had received just got gouged out of the asset column, and it went to taxes. And there's really no good reason for that. No good reason. But nevertheless, given our example here, you got about $700,000 or so in assets left. You have to reinvest that stream of income, and you have to turn right around and say, okay, what is going to be safe and secure? Because it is retirement that we're talking about. You might get 5 to 10% return on your money, which is barely beating inflation. And oh, by the way, you're still going to be subject to income taxes. A different set of rules, by the way. Different set of income tax rules, not so advantageous as being a business owner, and the result is that the $700,000 a year is converted to about $70,000 a year in income, which is far less. It's less than 25% of what you were getting when you had your business, and that's a huge hit to your lifestyle. And so you wind up eating cat food for dinner.
Well, not necessarily, but Here
you go.
That's for my list. They're used to me putting up at least one or two silly slides, but nevertheless, going from $300,000 a year to $70,000 means that you are not going to have the nice stuff that you had before and take the nice vacations and everything else. So it's a real, it's a real situation, a real problem.
It's not retirement success.
Yeah, it's definitely not. So here's
right. It's not retirement success at all.
So what's the challenges for you? Now, you were a professional business buyer. So what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome when you made your system?
Well, again, you have third parties that come into the process, and they all want their own interests served. They don't really care about yours. But raising capital is expensive. That's a euphemistic word for problematic. Going into the capital markets, raising mezzanine capital or getting a bank loan, it can be like pulling teeth. You got to do a dog and pony show. You have to deal with people who have committees and subcommittees that they have to put your deal through, and there's a lot of time wasting that goes on, and you may or may not get a successful outcome. So raising capital is expensive.
There are no angel investors, in other words. They're not really angels. So instead of a traditional
investors angel investors typically work like this. Angels are going to invest in startups, not necessarily buying businesses. I guess you might have some out there that do, but angels like high growth kinds of things, and they don't necessarily like businesses that are asphalt paving companies or a string of dry cleaners. They like high growth kinds of things. There are investors out there, but it takes a little while to find them, and then you have to do a deal with them. They're not as plentiful as you might think. So nevertheless, instead of a traditional sale, what we do is we set the business up so that it becomes the retirement fund for the seller. There's a way to do this. Avoid all the taxes, avoid all the headaches, not waste time, and set a seller up for retirement security and success. And it gives the seller what they're looking for, which is a predictable, secure cash flow from the sale of their business for the rest of their lives. There's a way to do that. And by the way, this applies to the spouse as well, as long as the spouse is of retirement age. If the spouse is, if you've got a business owner who's 70 and did an Anna Nicole Smith and married someone who was 30, this is probably not going to work with Delta. But if both owners are retirement age, we've got the right shoe to fit. It's going to set them up for the rest of their lives. There are no broker's fees because we don't work with brokers. You have a faster sale. You don't waste time. There are no extra parties. You pay less in tax. You keep the business intact. And by the way, with the Delta solution, this is the only thing out there, without exception, where sellers can sell their business and keep 100% of their net worth intact. That's 100%.
And that is fantastic. That's what really got my attention, because there's just, there's so many hands in your pocket all the time, Heath, and it's just great to have something like this. So, I mean, what does it look like? Like, walk us through what's going to happen if a person now, and also, you brokers that are on the call, you insurance people and financial guys, you can connect with Heath and he can talk to you about this process and help you if you've got somebody that's in this situation and you want to help them. So walk us through what happens when a person tries to, Sally's going to go sell her business and she connects with Delta. So what happens to her?
Sure. We have a systematized program where the process is so easy to do. We're very easy to work with. From start to finish, we know exactly which steps to take. It's a 5-step process. Just like the number of fingers on your hand, it's that easy. And number one is you go to the website, you get yourself educated. We have a lot of information and educational resources on the website. It is the centerpiece for everything that we do. You get yourself a non-disclosure, get yourself some free reports, start reading those things, and set yourself up for a phone appointment. You can get a free introduction. This is no cost, and we'll walk you through some of the subsequent steps in the process. You can get yourself an analysis done for free. If you take the survey, upload your information, and we will give you a no-cost analysis. We'll get back to you very, very quickly. We shoot for 24 hours, and we will give you a free report, go over it with you, and start giving you some strategies for success of what you can do if you are a viable, sellable candidate for Delta, And also, if you're not, we'll give you some recommendations on how to improve your business and strengthen it and turn it into a bona fide investment. And we'll give you some time to implement that strategy. You can circle back with Delta and try again later. So we stay friends. We'll keep you in the queue. We'll stay friends, and we'll keep the doors of communication open, and we'll help coach you through this process. You don't have to go through it alone.
That is a lot of value right there. I was going to say, for you financial guys, you can do this. You don't have to worry. Heath's not out to sell a system. He's not out to steal your clients, but he really does want to help people because he knows in the end it's gonna be a beneficial deal for him and for the financial advisor. The second thing that's going to happen is those terms and conditions.
Indeed.
So what happens here?
Right, and so so if you have a candidate that Delta is interested in purchasing, and we'll get to the criteria a little bit later on, but if you happen to have, or if you're an advisor and your client has a business that Delta likes, there's an easy way for you to work with Delta. We have a program for that too. And we will actually give you a conditional letter of acceptance, and we can do that in about 3 days' time. And that is a stark contrast to the traditional process, which is weeks or perhaps even months before an initial letter of intent is submitted, let alone signed. That's another thing. But all the terms and conditions with a Delta deal are standardized. Everything is done for you. Every single seller gets the same winning deal right across the board. The only things that are different on each deal are sales price and monthly retirement cash flow. That's it. Those are the only things. It helps us mitigate risk doing it that way. The due diligence process, once you accept the conditional letter of intent, the due diligence process takes between 30 and 60 days. We shoot for 30 days. We've closed them in 49 days. But we ask for up to 60. Sometimes with extenuating circumstances, it can be a little bit longer. You get a business that doesn't have records that are organized or together. The books are a mess. It takes a little bit longer to put that kind of a deal together, but we sift through the business, we validate the assets, we make sure that what is being represented is true and accurate. And this is normal for any acquisition in anywhere. We have a very systematized process where it's smooth and clean and fast. My partner Pat has a wonderful due diligence team. He has a team of 4 people they're just phenomenal. They're whizzes at this. And so when you have a systematic process like this, and you don't have to build the machine while you're using it, it goes a lot faster. And next, if we have a successful due diligence period, then we move to definitive agreements. And this is really automatic at that point. If you get a letter of intent, from there on out, it's automatic. We can close a deal very simply, very inexpensively, and you won't even notice that you've crossed the goal line. It is that quick. Then you enter into a transition period as a business seller, and that transition period usually lasts about 90 days. That's what we ask for, and this is called a management assistance period. It's standard, it's customary, and it helps the business owner transition to retirement and helps Delta transition into ownership and management.
And so you're going to be on the beach in no time at all, right? Is that the idea? No.
Lickety split, as quick as we can get you.
So what does their retirement look like now? Now you've got somebody that was stressed out and was going to have to.
Yeah. So the bullet points for a seller, you've got a wonderful retirement. Here's what you've got. You've got a paycheck from Delta for the rest of your natural lives. It also applies to your spouse. Like I say, they have to be of retirement age. We index that retirement stream of income to inflation, so you never lose purchasing power either. So we adjust it in arrears. So when inflation figures come out, we go ahead and change the monthly payment, increase the monthly payment. It's a cost of living adjustment for those of you in the financial world. Plus you get a potential balloon payment. This is really nice. You get a balloon payment on the back end of the deal. This is when the business is actually in the estate. The way we structure our deals, we buy the business from the estate, which is the most advantageous point to sell a business, because at that point the tax code gives the business a one-time step up in basis. And so your heirs get the most from the sale of the business. They don't have a huge capital gains tax hit. I mean, when we say pay zero taxes, we mean pay zero taxes for everybody if you do this right. So the heirs get the maximum amount for the business from the estate. They get that in cash too. And there is no one complaining when they receive tax-free cash. Then no one. It's glorious. The owners have a certain stream of income that is strong, that is directly attached to the backbone of the United States economy, which is small business. And you have the comfort of knowing that competent people are in charge of baby, and they're going to help run and manage baby. We're not going to take advantage of your customers. We're not going to compromise the relationships with your vendors and with your key clients. We're going to continue to run the business. We do not buy these businesses to bundle and resell. We do not do that. We buy to hold and grow. That's what we're about. We want a successful 10, 20, 30-year holding period with the businesses that we buy, even longer, 40, 50. For the rest of my life, I'm going to be doing Delta. This is what I'm going to be doing when I'm 95.
95?
In fact, I plan on working 5 years after I die.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'll be working 5 years after I die. So there you go. We have removed the entire risk factor for the sellers. You know, there's a huge amount of risk involved in traditional seller financing with businesses. Like I say, 3 out of 4 businesses that sell actually have an unsuccessful outcome. But we have a way where we take all that out of the equation. We have an exclusive arrangement with a third-party financial guarantor who has agreed to underwrite all of our deals. Our underwriting process is in lockstep with their underwriting process. So it's systematized and it's harmonious. There's a third party that says, okay, Delta, for your customers who want to buy a financial guarantee from us, we will do it. And it's going to work just like insurance. There's a premium that they pay, and we can take that right out of the monthly payment that the retirees are receiving. And if there is anything that happens where a deal goes sideways, everything goes awry, you know, you buy a string of funeral parlors and no one dies, and business goes to pot, if the business goes under, if there's any kind of credit event and Delta can't make good on its promises, the seller of the business can exercise their financial guarantee, make a claim against the financial guarantee, and guess what? They get paid 100% of what is owed them in cash within 15 to 30 days. Period. End of sentence, end of chapter, end of book.
That is amazing.
And at the same time, since they are the business owner of record, for tax purposes, we do it this way. Since they are still the business owners of record and they have the loss of the business, they get to write off the loss of their business against the income coming in from the financial guarantee, and hopefully those two things would balance out. So they still win, even if there's a credit event and the business goes into the ground. There's really no way they can lose for a seller. They can sleep well at night. They don't ever have to worry about, oh, if the business runs into the ground, I have to take it back over. I have to come out of retirement, go back to work 80 hours a week, get this business back up and running, get all my customers back, and then try to resell it to somebody else and start the whole process over again. Nope. You don't have that problem with us.
And Heath,
you can sell your business.
I was going to say
cash flow for life, pay zero taxes, never have a worry, never have any stress, get on with the rest of your life, enjoy your grandchildren, enjoy your great-grandchildren, go see the national parks, go to Europe. We want you to do that, have a great life, and not have to worry.
I was going to say, Heath, that guarantee I have never seen anywhere. And I researched this before we had the webinar, and I was like so amazed. I think that is the strongest thing that Delta brings to the table, because a lot of people don't act because of risk. And it's just an amazing agreement. So we want to talk really briefly about the kinds of businesses Delta can assist the best. So if you might want to write these criteria down, if you work with business owners, or if you are a business owner, here's what they're looking for in a partnership, in a joint venture. So take it away, Heath.
This is it. This is what we're after. And by the way, if you're an advisor, we do have a way where you can work with Delta. Just want to let you know. If you want to get more information about that, shoot me an email, and we have a program for those kinds of folks. And let me give you some criteria that will be able to better assist you in finding a nice harmony between a seller of a business and what Delta is doing in buying businesses. We like simple businesses. These are the kinds of businesses that have made America great. These are simple services kinds of businesses. They don't take a lot of overhead. They're not capital intensive. They've been around for 10 years or more. Mom and Dad have owned them for 10 years or more. They make consistently more than $2 million a year in sales, and they make consistently more than $500,000 in net cash profits. Now, those are minimums. You do not need to have a 25% profit margin. You can have more in sales and so forth. But we need those minimums in order for us to craft the kind of package that we need to craft and feel good about everything in the deal. The ideal kind of business is a simple business that can't be outsourced. We like stuff that can't be exported to China. We don't like having to compete with China. We buy the kinds of businesses that every community has in its backbone, and that are really mom and pop kinds of stuff. All right, and how you can contact Delta is fill out a contact form at our website, and if you haven't been to our website, please, by all means, check it out. It's deltabusinessservices.com / contact, or you can call me right here in the office at 210-369-4161. Our email is info@deltabusinessservices.com. And if you want to, let me give you another email address. It's heat@deltabusinessservices.com. You can email me straight away.
And these are stand-up guys. I have enjoyed working with them. They have the background is phenomenal. They really are devoted to the sellers and the buyers. And listen, at the end of this presentation, on your screen is going to pop up a very short survey. If you'll take the time to fill that out, I'd be appreciative. And Heath, I always give away brownies. Everybody stayed till the end. Thank you, and God bless you for that. I'm giving away a box of brownies. Okay, a box of brownies, and I'm going to call out a name today, and I'm going to tell that person you need to contact me at the email where you got this, webinar invitation, or you can contact Heath and tell him that you're the brownie person, and I'm going to reach into my magic hat and wait. I can't read this name here. Okay, let me go over here. Janet Shepard. Janet Shepard is the wonderful winner of the box of brownies, and these are from Send Out Cards. So
congratulations, Janet.
People are thinking brownies coming from California might be kind of iffy. No, they're not coming from California. They're coming from. Yeah. Well, we don't want to get into that, but but they're coming from me personally, from Tammy DeLue, from the Grouchy Marketing Lady, because I like to do that every now and then. And please fill out the survey. Let us know if we can do anything for you. I hope you got an overview of this information. And stay tuned, because Heath and I are going to do some more drill downs into what it takes and what you as an advisor can do to help help your clients get ready to sell their businesses and exit successfully. So I want to thank Heath Frantzen and everybody that was on the call. Again, that survey will pop up momentarily. If you don't see it, please get in contact with us and we'll send it to you. Have a great afternoon, and thanks for your time. And thanks to Delta Business Services. Thank you, Heath. Really appreciate it. You guys are just phenomenal. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Take care, and have a great day.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. It always is.
Thank you.
It always is. Thank you. You're awesome. Take care, everybody.